Hey guys, it's Nando here. So I've gotten a lot of questions about multi-timbral and how to set it up and why I use it and why it's better, and I'm going to break everything down for you as best I can. If you have any further questions, please feel free to comment and I'll try to get back to you, and that way other people can see. Okay, so let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new track, and we're going to create a software instrument, and it will be multi-timbral. As you can see, it's going to create multiple tracks and channel strips which send on different MIDI channels to the same multi-timbral AU instrument. So I'm going to check that box, and now it's going to ask us how many multi-timbral tracks do we want. Now, since we're going to do Ultrabeat, it all depends on how many different drum elements you want in your track or separate in your track. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to use 4. I'm going to do kick, snare, hi-hat, percussion. You can do as many or as little as you want. You can do open and closed hi-hat separately. You can do ride. You can do whatever you want. So we're going to do 4, and we're going to create it. That's going to create 4 MIDI tracks. And if you notice, it's all going to instrument 1. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create our Ultrabeat, because all of these MIDI tracks are linked to this one single instrument 1. So I'm going to go over here, go to Ultrabeat, and now it's going to ask me stereo or multi-output. I want to choose the multi-output. Do not choose stereo, because then it defeats half of the purpose of multi-timbral. The first purpose being having 4 MIDI tracks, the second purpose being having 4 outputs. So you want the multi-output. It's going to bring up our Ultrabeat, and it's going to look no different than before. Okay. Now that we know more or less what we want, let's go ahead and name our tracks before we go into Ultrabeat. So I said we were going to do kick, snare, hi-hat, and percussion. Okay. I'm going to open up the mixer, and if you notice, our Ultrabeat track only has 1 output right now. So what you want to do is you want to hit this plus sign here, and it's going to create auxiliaries for your different outputs within Ultrabeat. So you have your main Ultrabeat output, Ultrabeat 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and we're going to name them accordingly: kick, snare, hi-hat, and percussion. Okay. Now that we know what we want going where, let's go ahead and assign the outputs in Ultrabeat. So we have kick, and we said kick is going to our main. We want snare going to output 3 and 4. So we're going to go ahead and choose rim shot. That's snare, 3 and 4, 3 and 4, clap. We'll consider that a snare for now. And snare 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now we have our hi-hats. We said hi-hats are going to be 5 and 6. So we're going to choose hi-hat, output 5 and 6. Pedal hat, 5 and 6. Open hat, 5 and 6. Okay, great. Now we have our toms, which are going to be our percussion. We're going to do 7 and 8, 7 and 8, 7 and 8. Okay. Now that we have all our outputs assigned, we can start creating MIDI tracks and see what the hell we just did. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and create a MIDI track on our kick, and I'm going to do a basic dance kick beat. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and loop it. Okay, there's our kick. Let me set this to 128 so it's not so slow. And if you notice, our kick is coming out of the kick output. Exactly what we wanted. Okay, let's do snare. We're going to create a MIDI region. And let's do... Okay, that's a clap. And we'll layer it with a snare. Okay. Let's have a little groovy one right. Okay. So now let's go back to our mixer. And now our snare is coming out of the snare channel and our kick is coming out of the kick channel. So let's do hi-hat. These are great sounding hi-hats. Okay. If we go to our mixer, our hi-hat's coming out of our hi-hat track. Okay, great. So let's create our percussion. Something really basic, don't make fun of me. All of our different elements are coming out of their respective track or auxiliary. So now what this allows you to do, shut up. What this allows you to do is you can now EQ, compress, affect whatever you want, each individual section of your drum loop. Or, you know, if you have your whole kick coming out of one input, if you add distortion to it, you're going to distort the whole thing. Your kick, your snare, your hats, your percussion. If you got a compressor, it's going to compress everything together instead of compressing each individual part. If your toms are too bassy and you cut out some of the bass, guess what? So is your kick is going to lose bass too. So now what we can do is we can go into, let's say, our kick, and we can clean that up a little bit and say, okay, well, okay, I want a bass, you know, a punchier kick, so you EQ it as such. And let's say you want some compression. Right? So now I just EQ'd and compressed our kick, and it did not affect the rest of the drum track. Same with our snare. You can go ahead and, you know, maybe you want a dirtier snare, so you want to add, you know, a little bit of bit crush to it. You know, give it a techier feel. But now we're only affecting our snare and we're not affecting anything else. And that is the main reason why we use multi-timbral. It's just a great way of mixing. When you're tracking drums in a studio, you record, you know, your kick with one mic, your snare with another, you have overheads, you have a cymbal, hi-hat mic, you have a ride mic. And that way you can mix all different elements together in like a better sounding way, because that way you don't have bleeds, or if you need to EQ one aspect of your drum kit, you're not affecting others, you know? So that's pretty much it. I'm pretty sure I covered everything. If there's something I missed, please leave me a comment. Go ahead and ask questions. I really appreciate your support. So also, if you have any recommendations for a video, or if you need help with something or want a tutorial on anything specific, please go ahead and leave me a comment, send me a message. I'm going to be trying to do videos more often now. I have a little bit more free time, so I'd love to hear from you guys. So, all right, well, till next time, I'll see you guys around.